Welcome in, everybody, to this week's episode of Sports Talk. That's a working title, I guess. I don't know what to call these things. They're just videos where I talk about sports. I don't know. And the title of this episode and what the main topic is are the New Orleans Saints legit? But before we get to that, I'm going to do a quick rundown with my thoughts on all the other games that happened this week, excluding the Bills-Dolphins game, which I already gave my thoughts to. You can go watch that video. And yeah, let's get right into it. First game, Vikings and 49ers. The 49ers were very, very sloppy on offense, and they could not convert on third down, and the Vikings capitalized. The Vikings played really, really well. They capitalized on all of their mistakes, and they won. Now, Brock Purdy is 14-2 against NFC teams, both of which being the Minnesota Vikings. So I guess that's just going to be a thing that happens. And I'm going to keep all of these pretty brief and then have the longer talk about the Saints and Cowboys game. Seahawks and Patriots. Both of the teams struggled on third down. The Seahawks passing game was absolutely insane. They got whatever they wanted through the air, with Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba getting over 100 yards each. And on the run game, they struggled. Without Kenneth Walker, they struggled a little bit. Charbonnet did his best, but, he's no Kenneth Walker. And on the other side, the Patriots had two rushers over 80 yards and only one receiver over 12, that being Hunter Henry with 100 yards. Both the teams look great, offense and defense. The Patriots are going to be better than I thought, and I am a little worried about the Seahawks. I don't know if they're going to finish. I don't know if they're going to finish above fourth in the West this year. They just haven't looked. They haven't looked fantastic. Giants and Commanders. Jaden Daniels, after 2 weeks, looks fantastic. He's very smart. He's taking care of the ball. He's efficient and all around just a very solid quarterback. And not only that, he can run the ball very well. And speaking of running the ball, the running game of the Commanders looks great with Robinson Jr. and Eckler. Eckler didn't have a great game, but the fact they have those two running backs and a quarterback that can also run, that run attack looks very, very scary. And on the other side, the Giants, you guys know how I feel about the Giants. Daniel Jones should not have gotten paid, and they should have blew up the team after they traded Barkley. They decided not to and pay him. But Malik Neighbors looks very, very good. Malik Neighbors looks very, very solid. And the Giants, Jones, he got the ball to Neighbors, obviously, but they came up just short of a win. It was a game-winning field goal, and they looked better than last week, but I'm still not expecting anything from the Giants this year. Chargers and Panthers. Herbert, through 2 weeks, hasn't needed to do a lot, which is a good thing, but also how's he going to perform in those games where he is asked to do a lot? It's hard to tell, but J.K. Dobbins is going absolutely insane, and he's playing like he's the best running back in the league, which is crazy that the Ravens had him last year and they didn't utilize him like the Chargers are. And Quentin Johnston looked okay. Obviously, he's coming under a lot of flack from his rookie year, but maybe breakout year incoming for him. Who knows? And I have nothing to say about the Panthers, except no bright spots. Young was benched for Dalton yesterday, and you have to tank and hope that you draft better. I don't know. Panthers, quarterbacks just go to the Panthers to die. Like, look at Darnold and Mayfield. Now that they're out of Carolina, they're playing super well. Young just needs a change of scene, I think. Colts Packers. The Colts rushing defense sucked. It absolutely sucked. You have to stop that run and make Malik Willis beat you, and they didn't do that. They couldn't do that. Richardson had 3 interceptions, but he did pass for 200 yards, and Taylor rushed for 103 yards. So the offense, it was moving. Other than those 3 interceptions by Richardson, they played really well, but they could not score. The Packers defense was really, really good. Held them to, I believe, 10 points, which is very, very impressive. And the Packers, if Willis is continuing to be this efficient, he didn't throw the ball a lot, but he was very, very efficient and he took care of it. If Jacobs rushes this well and the defense is this good, they can keep themselves afloat in the NFC until Love gets back, and then they could make a run for the 1 seed. They are a very, very, very good team. And if Willis can keep them above ground until Love gets back, then they're going to be scary. They're going to be scary. Browns and Jaguars. Now, I'm sorry I'm fixing my mask so much, but jeez. Okay. The Jaguars offense could not do anything to the Browns defense. The Browns defense just played super well, and Lawrence was pretty inefficient. I believe he threw like under 50% on the day. Like that's not, it's not very good for the guy you're hoping is your future at the quarterback position. Once again, Browns offense was not great, but it got the job done. The Jaguars defense couldn't really hold them to a whole lot, and the defense just did a massive carry job for the Browns offense. Not very impressed with either of these teams. I wasn't very high on either of them coming in, but still, that my mind has not been changed from what I've seen so far. Jets Titans, very stale game. The defenses kept both offenses to 300 yards or below, and no one besides Ridley really stood out on the offensive side of the ball. The Jets need Rodgers to take control of this offense if they want to go far this year. Rodgers just has not looked great. Niners defense really stuffed him and forced him to try to make throws, but he just, everything was covered. The man coverage was very well from the 49ers. And the Titans defense surprisingly held up really well against Rodgers and this Jets offense. And the Titans, they should be happy with Levis. He needs to take care of the ball more, but he's looked good these first 2 weeks, other than the turnovers. Buccaneers and Lions. I'm so disappointed in the Lions. You lock them down with rushing. You lead in every category, every offensive category, and you lose the game. And it was by a significant margin, too, that they were ahead in offensive numbers. They were ahead in every single category by a lot. And they lost. The Bucs defense, it didn't look great, but it stopped them from scoring. So you can say the defense looked good. It stopped them from scoring. They got a lot of yards, but they couldn't punch it in for 6. And Baker looked like Baker. He looks good. He looks good, and they could make some playoff noise. They could be a headache for a first round matchup. And I'm a little concerned about the Lions. Very close against the Rams week 1, and then you put up those offensive numbers against the Bucs, and you can't win. And you completely shut down one part of the offense, being the rush game. I'm a little worried. Not gonna lie, I'm a little worried. All right, Ravens, Raiders. The Ravens. Hold on, pardon me. I got an itch. Oh, my nose is always so itchy with these damn masks. Maybe I gotta switch it. Okay. The Raiders played fantastic. The defense stopped the offense just enough, and the offense, surprisingly, was very, very efficient against this elite Ravens defense. The Ravens were successful on all fronts on the offensive side of the ball. They ran well and they passed well, but the defense couldn't get a stop late, and the Raiders, they came back and they won. I'm very worried about the Ravens. They are 0-2. They're a Super Bowl favorite, and they have not looked good. Well, let me not say week one they didn't look great. They were stopped by the Chiefs defense, which is a good defense, but you were stopped that much, like, and you're losing to a team that shouldn't even sniff the playoffs this year. So it's just, I'm a little worried about the Ravens, but they'll figure it out. It's just 2 games. There's 15 more to go. Like, they should be all right, but I am a little concerned. Rams and Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are going to fight for a top 4 seed, meaning they could beat out my 49ers for the 1 seed in the NFC West. That might be a slight over-exaggeration, but oh my God, they've looked fantastic. Let's not forget, they took the Bills to a 1-score game week 1. They gave up a massive lead, but still, the Bills are a top 2, 3 team in the East, in the AFC. They look very, very good, and I think people forgot how good Kyler Murray is at football. I really do believe that Kyler Murray is a legit top 10 quarterback. I can't really think of it in my head at the moment, but top 10 just off the top of my head. And the Rams look awful, and now they're missing Kupp. So, season done, maybe? I don't know. They're 0-2. They're going to be missing Kupp. I haven't really looked at the strength of their schedule, but I cannot imagine that it's going to be easy without Kupp. Bengals Chiefs. Chase looks awful. After 2 weeks, Chase looks awful. He wants to get paid. He's not playing like a guy that wants to get paid. But Burrow looks to be back in his form. He always shows up against the Chiefs. I don't know what it is. He just likes the challenge. But Burrow's back into his form. And if Burrow continues playing like his normal self and Chase looks this bad and they're this close to beating the Chiefs, then they're going to be scary. And Chiefs still look like the best team in the league. It's a great week when Mahomes has a bad game. Yeah, we'll call it a bad game. Mahomes had a bad game, and you still win. The Chiefs are still my favorite to win the Super Bowl, as much as I hate to say that. And I'm starting to get worried about Kelsey. It's not like he's doing bad. It's not like there's drops. It's not like anything like that. But either he's not getting open or Mahomes just doesn't want to throw to him. I'm worried about Kelsey's production. Steelers Browns. Holy yawn fest. 2 elite defenses butting heads with 2 pretty bad offenses. But Nix needs to take care of the ball more. He's looking good, but he needs to fix those turnovers. And Fields was efficient and took care of the ball. So I'm glad to see Fields being successful. I'm glad to see it. I feel like he was set up to fail in Chicago, but I'm glad Fields is looking good. Speaking of Chicago, Texans Bears. Williams has not looked like the generational talent that everyone is saying that he is. Now, he's young. It's only his 2nd week, but he hasn't cracked 200 yards yet, and he only has, 1 passing touchdown of the 2 weeks? Like, he still has time, and I haven't given up yet. I'm not saying I've given up on him, but it might take longer till we see that generational talent. But yeah, other than that, not really much else to say. The rookie wide receiver they got, who's that? Let me. Dunze. Despite them not getting, despite the offense being very, very stagnant the whole game, Odunze has looked good. He's looked good, but yeah, it might be some time for Williams. So let's dial back on the hype a little bit and give him some time to develop. And Texans, Stroud and Collins are elite. They're both elite. The defense is very close to elite, and the Texans have a conversation to make the 1 seed in the AFC. I think they legitimately do. They are a high-powered offense with a very good defense to back it up, with a defensive-minded coach in DeMeco Ryans, who I am very upset that we still let him go. I'm very upset about that. Falcons, Eagles. Kirk, primetime Kirk, he looked like what we're used to seeing out of Kirk Cousins. Very efficient quarterback, moved the ball. He got the offense going and led a game-winning drive to take down the Eagles. I don't know what to think about Pitts anymore. Like, the highest drafted tight end. He's supposed to be this generational star, and he just has not put it together. I don't know what's wrong with him. We thought with Cousins that was going to change, but it hasn't. The Eagles look good, but the defense didn't show up when it mattered most. They gave up that game-winning touchdown, and Hurts he made a mistake late. He overthrew Devontae Smith, and it cost him the game, but not really too worried about the Eagles. They like I said, they look very good. Offense just showed up late, and late mistake from Jalen Hurts. Now, those are all the other games. Now, 16 minutes in, let us go with the Saints and Cowboys game. Are the Saints legit? Let's break it down. Let's break it game by game. Let's break down Saints versus Cowboys. The Cowboys offense was good. They got yards, they moved the ball, and they scored a good amount. But that defense was Swiss cheese. There were holes everywhere. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the passing game. And you gave up 44 points. 44 points to the Saints. Like, I don't know what to do. Carr, along with Shaheed and Olave, absolutely picked them apart through the air. And they couldn't just drop back coverage because, guess what? Kamara also absolutely annihilated them on the ground. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop either side of the ball. And if you can't stop them offensively, either rushing or passing, you're not going to win the game, or you're going to have a very hard time trying to win the game. Shaheed is having a breakout year, and Olave is still a very, very good receiver. He's still very good. Had a lackluster week 1, but came back this week, had a decent week, and he's still a very, very good receiver. Very good young receiver. Ooh, excuse me. And I think we start talking to them about a legitimate playoff threat. Like, I'm talking like top 3 seed, like home field advantage type of playoff threat. They annihilate the Panthers in week 1, which isn't hard. The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL, but they still look great doing it. They still looked absolutely fantastic doing it. And you can only play who's in front of you, and they played who was in front of them, and they played them well. Now, and then week 2, they go into Dallas, and I looked at it, Dallas was 21-4 at home since 2021. 3 of those losses being in 2021. So we take that out. They were like, 16-1 at home the past 3 years. And the Saints absolutely made a fool out of them. Absolutely dominated this team that doesn't lose at home. They just don't lose at home. Kamara annihilated them on the ground. And like I mentioned before, Carr, Shaheed, and Olave annihilated them through the air. Not only that, but the defense held the Cowboys from scoring when the Cowboys were having a very, very good offensive game. Like, Lamb had a very good game. They ran the ball well. Let me look at this box score again. Let's look at this. Okay, let me tell you, they didn't run the ball super well. They had 30, 16, 12, and 11. So, they didn't run the ball very well. But Dak had almost 300 yards passing. 300 yards passing, Lamb had 90, Tolbert had 82, and Shoemaker had 43. Like, they had a very, very good, very, very good offensive game. And the Saints defense, you know, didn't play super well since they gave up so many yards, but they stopped them from scoring, which is how they won the game. The Cowboys are supposed to be a top 5 team in the league. And they didn't play bad. The defense played pretty bad, but the offense was clicking. And the Saints have just been perfect since the first whistle of week 1. And they have not missed a step. And if they continue not missing a step, they can cause either some upsets in the playoff if they don't crack top 4, or they can get home field advantage and they can walk through that first round of the playoffs, in my opinion. They look super, super good, and they match up very, very good against the majority of the league with 2 nearly elite receivers, a quarterback playing like he's top 10, and still a top 10 dual threat running back who can catch a ball or he can run, and a defense that in my lifetime I have not seen a bad Saints defense. Like, I just haven't seen a bad Saints defense. The defense has always been solid. And the Saints look very, very scary. And me personally, as a 49er fan, the NFC looks good this year, and I'm a little concerned. The bottom of the NFC looks very, very good. All that being said, that is a wrap of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please leave a like, subscribe if you have not already. Leave a comment letting me know what are your thoughts about this week, your thoughts about my topic, and what you would like me to talk about next week. I'm going to do more videos like this, shorter ones where it's just one main topic and then I talk about briefly the other teams in the league that had happened. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on whatnot, and I will see you all next time. Peace.